Hey, good evening, everybody. So now we're gonna go over control, right? And this the first shirt. The first video is the video of the shirt. So you guys recognize this symbol? I'm gonna ask you if you do during the class. So very exciting moment. We got through define, measure, analyze, improve, and now we finally get into control, right? So think about that we went through all this process to trying to improve a performance metrics, understand the root causes, implement suggestions, and then the last step, control, is to make sure of two things. First, to capture the performance over time and see if what we did in the improve actually impact that performance metric, right? Because the root cause analysis, understanding, all that digging and investigation, uh, you're creating assumptions, right? You're creating theories that one thing impacting another. You're testing with statistics, but doesn't matter how good they are, you're still creating hypotheses or theories. You are not sure. You're never 100% sure. So on the control phase, it's very important that one, you understand that the performance metric is going the direction that you want to. So having all the tools and giving the company or the person that's going to do the process all everything that they need to actually control and see if the performance metric is according to what we imagined, what we predicted or estimated when we were doing the improvement. So that's one thing, and by doing that is measuring the quality of the process, right? So we're going to go back and talk about quality again to understand if things are occurring, according to the parameters that we think are good. Another thing of improve is to make sure that also people have the standards, and we're going to talk about standard work, standardizations, and all instruments that we can use for the things to keep that improved state that we develop, or future state that we kind of developed and implemented, which was the improved one, right? So control phase, we're going to go into some of those tools. So we're going to talk about statistical process control, which is, and control plans, which is the biggest part of control here. And then we're not going to talk too much about standardization in 5S. That's going to come with the uh, 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 lean management sections. Here we're going to talk about how to close the project and some project reports and all that, right? And the statistical process control we're going to talk about more in this phase. So one thing important is it all relies on quality, right? And this guy, do you know this guy? Edward Deming. That's the most important person in terms of quality, right? It's all about quality of the process. So it should be, one of their first responsibility, because it is achieving what the customer wants, right? Having the requirements that the customer wants, and it's based on employment training and how do we react to things when they happen, right? So how do we collect data to understand exactly what's going on, and how to tackle variation, right? So statistical process control is a lot about how to understand variation, how to cope variation, how to figure out what kind of variation is happening, okay? And that's what we're going to do moving forward. If you think about any repeatable action that you're doing, right? So imagine that you are hitting a target, or trying to hit in the middle of a target with a bow there, right? So you can try to hit, or darts. If you guys play darts, right? You can try to hit in the middle, but I ask you, okay, hit the middle 100 times. You're gonna miss some of them, and you're not gonna be able to do exactly the same thing. It's going to be the same if you put two people to play baseball, and someone is throwing and someone is hitting the ball, hit 100 times the same way, or or you can ask someone to walk a mile, or I can ask you guys to walk a mile and do it at 10 times. And let's see how long does it take each time. So even if I ask you or you try to do exactly at the same time, there's no way that you can repeat the same task over and over and over and over again and to be exactly the same time, right? So the same if you go to process or to more some of the examples that we're talking about, you can have someone making a taco, right? And you can take the time that how much time it takes for someone to, let's say, to make the taco, right? So to put the meat and put the cheese and put lettuce and tomato, whatever you're going to put it. So you're going to maybe takes, about a minute to do that, but one time is going to take 55 seconds, and then 65 seconds, and then 62 seconds, and then it may never be 60, but the average is about 60, but it will have some variation that will occur, and that's a very important aspect of measuring quality, okay? So to understand that, it doesn't matter how good you are, when you're repeating something over and over again, you're going to have some variability that you cannot get rid of. It's going to be there forever and all the time. Okay? So why there is variability? Why every time, that I throw a dart is not going to be exactly in the same spot? Because there are things that are happening at that moment in your head, in the environment. You're tired, how much coffee you drink, how the light is going. There's tons and tons of different things that are impacting, in your output at that given moment. So all those things, machine methods, manpower, depending on the day of the week, maybe you're going to do a better job. Sometimes they're more motivated, you're going to do a better job. Less motivated, more coffee, less coffee. Million things can impact in your output, right? And that's the first very important concept of quality. There's going to be variation, okay? And variation will impact in the output, in what you produce. And some of those will be a good quality product, and some of those, let's say this one and this one, may be a bad quality product, right? But I can say that number 1, number 3, and number 5 are good ones. So sometimes this variation will impact, and that's okay, because that's normal in the process. It's going to be a little bit different than the other, but that doesn't impact the quality of my product, right? But sometimes it's going to be too much variation, and then I have a bad product.